You are late.
I'm late.
You are late.
I'm late. I'm late.
TikTok, time's running out. You're already late.
I'm late. Sunday.
You're late.
Sunday. Sunday.
What's the
Sunday,
rush?
we're late.
You're already late.
We're late.
TikTok, TikTok. Hey guys, welcome back to SDSquared. Thank you for joining us. As you can see, we are in our costumes because we had our little Halloween party. And it was pretty great.
I wouldn't say it was a big Halloween party.
Oh, you thought it was a big Halloween party?
Look at these flowers. These are giant flowers. So in our video, our past videos, we showed you guys the mushrooms. We showed you, what did we show?
Show the mushrooms.
That's it. Oh my goodness, how embarrassing. We had so much fun doing these projects, but they did take us quite some time, and it was really hard to focus on recording, editing, all of that stuff. So what we're going to do is give you guys a recap of some of the projects that we did, starting with the clocks. So you're going to see my design of the clock, and then you're going to see Sunny's design of the clock and the execution of those designs. So
yep, go ahead and take a look right now.
So I started out by designing both of my clocks. I really wanted for my first clock to have hands all around the clock, and then for the long hand and the short hand to be fingers. I went a whole different direction for my second clock because my first clock ended up being so intricate. So I made these fingers out of air-dried clay. I used the yellow one because that's all they had at the store, and I figured I was going to paint them anyways, so it ended up looking how I wanted it to look at the end of it. I ended up not going with my design. Ended up going a different direction after I got the base of the clock done, because it reminded me of something, and I wanted to position the fingers in a way where it looked like it was almost holding the clock, or like holding a set of cards. I tried to do this little stripe checkered thing in the middle, and I ended up like painting over that. I don't think I got a video of me painting over it, but I ended up going back and just painting that black, and then painting the outside of the clock white. So this is kind of the main attraction clock for me. I was really proud of the way this clock turned out, and none of the clocks are working clocks. We didn't feel, well, number one, we did not have time, but we also didn't feel it necessary because the clocks are just supposed to give the look of a clock. But this one made me want to, go back and make this clock a working clock, which I may do in the future. I don't know. I honestly don't know how I would do it because I covered it with resin. I should still be able to drill into it. I'm not entirely sure how that works, or if there's a specific process, but you're going to see in the next clip that I actually went into the garage and I got out this resin. If you didn't know, I used to own an Etsy shop, 5-star Etsy shop. I stopped doing it because it was just a lot of work, and also I'm really big on like giving people like the best product as possible as an artist. So I would spend so much time and I would redo things, and it was kind of a lot of stress, but I really enjoyed it. And the people who bought from me, like, still to this day, 5-star shop. So and I still hear people go like, are you gonna get back to that? But at the end of the day, like, we do things and then we move on from them. But I did tell Sunday that I may like just make a few pieces here and there just for fun, just like if I'm crafting on my own. But doing like custom pieces for people, I just am not in the place where I want to do that or feel like doing that. But yeah, so this part of the process was really easy. But I made a mistake here because I wanted the resin to kind of look like it was kind of popping out of the numbers, if you can see right here. and I ended up putting something too heavy on top. What I should have done to get this look was to wait a little bit for the resin to cure and then come back and put it on top. But I was trying to keep it centered and make sure that I had enough of the resin popping out. What ended up happening is I got resin over the edge of those numbers, so it came out looking really messy. Not shown on camera, I ended up taking that resin and dripping it all over the clock, and then ended up going in with some spray paint, some white, black, and red spray paint. Here's me cleaning up the nails, just trying to get that yellow, because especially after I glued them, if you can see, one of those are chipped. I was not going back to fix those. I was not. And then I didn't end up using all of these anyways, so it wasn't a huge deal. But I had how many did I use? I used 10 of them, so I had a few left. So somebody had suggested that I paint the nails. The clock is mainly red and black, and I was like, I could paint them black, or I could paint them red, or I could even paint them white. Part of the thing that I didn't want to do is, number one, I didn't want them to look messy, and number two, I wanted it to kind of contrast a little bit, so I decided to keep it purple. This is like a light purple. I did have to go in after painting and just wipe them off, because I had a little bit of the clay powder, like the dust to the clay on the nails. But yeah, this part was very therapeutic. I really enjoyed painting these individually and just getting all the details around the nail. So afterwards, I brought my clock in, and this is what it looked like. And remember, I told you guys I had dripped the resin on top of the head of the clock. I don't know what you call it, the part with the numbers. And then because I felt like the red didn't have much contrast, I ended up layering another one of those playing cards over on top, so it almost looks like a shadow. Somebody pointed out to me that it looked like a shadow. Like, I wasn't thinking in terms of like, oh, this is gonna be like the shadow of the card. I was just trying to create like depth. And so someone was like, oh, it's like the card shadow, and I'm like, yo, that's pretty cool. So yeah, I ended up using like a bunch of hot glue and some E6000 and just gluing that thing on there. As you can see, the back looks kind of crazy, but you know, it is what it is. No one's gonna see it. But yeah, I do think that in the future I could possibly drill through both of these. I'm not entirely sure how strong this other piece of wood is, but with the resin it might be much tougher than by itself. So if you have any suggestions on how I could do that, or if you think it's something that can be done, I might actually make this into a working clock. So I didn't show myself putting the fingers, but I do want to say the way I was able to know how to position them is that while I was doing the fingers, like making them, I used the outside edge of the clock and use them to curve around. I did have to really smooth out the clay around the edge of the finger to make sure that it did not crack. After the clock was dried, I glued the fingers with E6000, and this was my favorite project to do.
Okay, so I begin by trying to bend the tube into a circular motion, and then hang it over my head to see how it's going to hang from the ceiling. Then get a couple of the bigger foam balls that I purchased and try to coordinate where I want to place them, because I want the bigger balls to be the big numbers on the clock, like the 12, the 3, the 6, and the 9. So I start putting those in those positions, using some metal wire in order to cut and place into the foam tube. And I'm also watching the game, so if you ever see me look up, that's what I'm doing. But I begin to cut off the snippets of extra wiring in order to kind of clean up the area a bit, and stick it into the tube and make sure that it maintains its shape, which it does. Then I begin to test the way that it should hang again. Here I'm starting to add some of the smaller balls around the tube. I'll first start by cutting small pieces of wire and adding them to the balls, and then begin placing the balls around the tube. Try to get an even space going on here, so I start rotating it all around. Here I hang up the tube and I begin to spray paint it. I want to spray paint it black. I was going for a black and gold color combination, so here I'm trying to get as much coverage as I can. Then I stay out of space a little bit. Make sure I cover as much as I can, try to get a full coverage. And then I start adding the numbers to the balls in yellowish gold paint. So here I'm adding the 9, earlier I was adding the 6, and here's the final product.
So it became really difficult to try to make things and also edit content. We had a very small window of time and we had to get this stuff out very quickly so that our guests could enjoy it. We had a lot of big ideas. We wanted the whole lawn full of the clock people.
Yeah.
Clock soldiers. What are they? Are they soldiers? Aren't they?
Playing card soldiers?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But you know what we made turned out pretty well. So we're going to go through and we're going to show you what we have, and hope you guys enjoy it. So guys, we had an amazing event with all the props that we created. Our friends really enjoyed our Alice in Wonderland themed party, and we had a really good time.
The food was great. Company was great. Sunny got beat in some games.
I don't remember that, actually.
Well, you wouldn't.
Can we say it even happened? Where's the footage?
Okay. So hopefully next time we can figure out how to manage our time a little more to make some of our ideas bigger. We could do more mushrooms because the soldiers. I think that we could have had more of those. But overall, I love the party.
Oh,
I
yeah.
feel like this is a great starting point for us, and hopefully things will get better as we go along.
And hopefully you guys continue to follow along in our journey. We plan on making more craft projects and more DIY projects here soon. And just follow, hit the like button. Make sure you guys tune in. If you have any comments on any of our project designs or any of our themes, let us know what you guys think.
Yeah, for sure. And also, if you guys want to follow us, we will put our TikTok down below where we have other short form content. So as we are getting on to the next project, in between that, you guys can watch some of our other videos. I'm Shantia.
And I'm Sundiata.
SD out.
SD out!
No. No. I'm not late. I'm not late. I'm not. Sunday, I just had a really bad dream.
What happened?
There were clocks everywhere. None of them worked. I just kept going from clock to clock, and they all looked different, and they all were different times, and none of them were ticking. And you just kept saying, "You're late. You're late." Sunday.
Well, you are late, aren't you?